It's a really busy week for the Republican candidates. Two more names are jumping in the race. Former Vice President Mike Pence anticipating to launch his 2024 bid in Des Moines, Iowa Wednesday. Former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie set to announce in Manchester, New Hampshire as soon as tomorrow. Mr. Pence currently trailing Nikki Haley at just under 4% when it comes to popularity among voters. In the latest RCP polling average, Mr. Christie is even further behind at just 1%. Former President Trump, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis are the two polling in double digits. So former President Trump has a double-digit lead. Niall Stanage, White House columnist for The Hill. Niall. Oh, Niall. You know, I feel like we talked about this enough last week, but just for the sake of people who weren't here, why are these people jumping in when, I mean, clearly there's two front runners in the race, unless they really believe by a long shot, by a strike of lightning, they are going to have a chance at zooming to any type of competitive lead here. I mean, they want another job. I'm thinking they're doing this because they want another job. Is that right? Is that what you're going to say?
Some of them do. You've anticipated what I'm going to say pretty well, as usual.
Yeah.
But look, Chris Christie in particular, I doubt that Chris Christie really thinks he has a realistic chance of becoming the Republican nominee. He has decided to take up his dagger and make a run directly at former President Trump, positioning himself as the most obviously anti-Trump candidate in the race. There is really no evidence, Adrienne, that that is likely to make you the Republican nominee. There is some evidence that it might get you lucrative jobs elsewhere, which I think may be part of the calculation there. Vice President Pence is a bit of a different category, running in a more orthodox way. He is obviously former vice president, former governor. He's deep roots in the faith-based community, but it's still very difficult to see him ultimately ending up as the nominee.
I'm going to ask you a question completely off script. What is most interesting to you about this particular 2024 political season?
So a couple of things. Firstly, I always love if you go off script and just ask random questions. The most interesting part is the idea that there are two frontrunners in a way, in the sense of former President Trump and Governor DeSantis. And they cast a very long shadow over the rest of the field. We know politics is unpredictable. There can be things that shake that up. But it seems to be that on the Republican side, what used to be called the establishment of the Republican Party has basically been defeated. And we now have this choice of two populists. I think that's very interesting. Briefly, Adrienne, on the other side of it, we know that Democrats have a lot of misgivings about President Biden running for a second term, given his age and approval ratings. That's interesting. There just isn't really any obvious credible alternative.
Well, and here's the thing. We're focusing a lot on Republicans, particularly because they keep entering this race. They keep entering into the ring. And there's so many of them that aren't even polling at 5%, 7%. But for the Democratic side, besides the sitting president, the two, Marianne Williamson and Mr. Kennedy, I would think their approval ratings are somewhere close to around Nikki Haley's and former Vice President Pence.
Yeah, and that's a good point. I mean, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. in particular is polling around 12, 15, 19% in one poll. That's actually a lot better than Nikki Haley or Mike Pence or Chris Christie on the Republican side. We'll have to see if Mr. Kennedy is able to sustain those ratings. There is some suggestion that his relatively high numbers at the moment are perhaps a consequence of A, his last name, and B, that dissatisfaction that I was just talking about with President Biden. Will voters continue to move toward him in the Democratic primary? I think that's up in the air, but if they do so, we'll suddenly be in a very intriguing scenario.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.